It had to come. I had to be done, Spencer. I know I should not do it. I know that life is short, but also life gives us opportunity to give us knowledge. So here's the thing, guys. Do you know that there are times in which you just want to skip over movies as a movie buff because you know that the movie is gonna be bad. You know there's people that you don't like. You know that there are horrible stuff behind the scenes. You know there's a lot of things that it has so much wrong for it. Well, here's the thing. Even though this year has this kind of like this ups and downs like every single year, most of the time I do kind of try to skip a lot of those movies that are pretty much at the bottom of the barrel. Sometimes, but this year there were. I kind of realized that I needed a little bit more to fill out some of the worst of the year. So, because of my pride and all this stuff, I decided that it's time to make again a double feature of movies. But of course, uh, while the last double feature was about had a theme of both of them being Stephen King adaptations, in which one I like and the one I thought that it was very flawed, but I didn't hate it as much as many people did. Although I do kind of agree that it had its flaws. This time, this double feature, I decided to go with the theme of the bottom of the barrel of the year. Those two movies are the bottom of the barrel of a lot of things. There are some others that I do have considered the bottom of the barrel of, well, the world of cinema and all this stuff. By the way, no, it's not Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Even though I want to give it away, give that automatically one of it because I hated the first movie and I don't want to give my money to for this second one. So the two bottom of the barrel of movies that I decided to go watch, I got them from the library, so I don't have to spend a penny on them. And also I'm doing it in the comfort of my own home because if there's something that kind of want my me throw up, at least I got my bathroom on the available. What movies are you asking? These: the Minecraft movie and Disney live action Snow White. Oh, I'm doing this for myself. Don't worry. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Even though you're gonna end up regretting it. Not by me, because at least I'm gonna have some base on why my instincts were correct on showcasing why I really, really had really bad impressions about this movie. So let's not delay the inevitable. By the way, like if you're gonna see me with different clothes or something like that, it's because I'm gonna watch these movies kind of like in different times here and there. But right now, let's go with the first one. Wish me luck. Uh, okay. A Minecraft movie. Okay. How do I start? Even though I like games, I am a little bit of a gamer, but it's kind of like another one of my hobbies. I don't play Minecraft. Sorry, I only have basic knowledge, but I don't play Minecraft. Never, I never got into it. I wasn't appealed by the cubic aesthetics. People do it because somehow people love sand games. Where you can create your stuff and all this stuff. I don't mind that. I mean, I play Pal World, and that one is a little bit of a sandbox, even though it has its own set of rules. So that was my number one strike for a Minecraft movie. My second strike for the Minecraft movie, obviously, if everyone knows me, you know me that I do have an intense hatred or that certain actor named Jack Black. I despise the guy because ever since I knew him, I never thought of him as talented. He's a terrible actor. His only stitch is that he only screams but with no punchline, no reason. He always plays really mean-spirited characters, and he's a terrible singer. He's a god awful singer, but many people think that he's talented. But no, he is an awful guy, and unfortunately, also his physique doesn't help because he is an obese bearded man that whenever you look at him, I always think that he probably has some, let's say some ulterior motives. But what I hate the most about Jack Black is how people tend to adore him. People, when they tend to adore him, like he's kind of like this chubby little piglet that he's nice, he's lovable, and everyone and he can do no wrong. That kind of attitude really makes me feel like there's something because everything needs to be kind of like a balance. It wouldn't be so bad if people just don't stop kind of saying that he is the most wonderful guy in the universe. And well, speaking of horrible audiences, that was the third strike. Ever since the movie came out, and I was still pondering if I have to watch it or not, at the time that came out, I was hearing that this movie was getting kind of like mixed reviews, but kind of a little bit leaning for the positive, especially for the Minecraft people, to the point that it even turned into a big meme that everyone's screaming "chicken jockey" and all this stuff because Jack Black. Jack Black already ruined Super Mario Brothers, and so of course that he's gonna try it again, with chicken jockey. Oh my god, it's been twice that this guy ruined video games for me. First, this awful song named Peaches that is hideous. I really despise that song. And now they got with the chicken jockey, in which it's almost like no reason. And unfortunately, I've been hearing people that it brought the worst of an audience, but when they begin to cheer like "hey," and they begin to throw popcorn on the floor and all this stuff, giving those workers extra work and all this stuff, and that is so inconsiderate. That this is the same kind of audience that they do the same with the Five Nights at Freddy's, and as a guy who grew up and a little bit being kind of like the straight man of a lot of things, is very embarrassing to see these kind of people that they can't control their emotion in their own place, in their own time, and they kind of act like wild animal, I'll say. But so, despite that, it still gave me the curiosity to want to see it. So So now it's been months, and since, like I said, I'm gonna make the review out of it. I needed my, to fill out my quota of worst movies of the year. I chose that one, and yeah, this movie was a huge endurance test because at the end of the day, it's a Jack Black movie, and you know how I felt about it. But even putting that aside, a Minecraft movie, if it wasn't for me going to the movie theaters, I can clearly say that this movie, and everyone involved into this movie, especially the actor, especially Jack Black, they have proven that they have no shame. No shame at all. This movie was shameful. It's probably one of the most embarrassing things I have ever seen on the screen, but these are the kind of people who they really love to be embarrassing, and they don't care because they're like, hey, we're doing it for kids. We're not doing it for you. We're doing it for the fans. We're doing it for the fans. But unfortunately, this is not your standard. When you're making something public like a movie, your fans is not your only audience. There's still people who there can also be curious. And even for a Minecraft movie, it doesn't. This movie actually takes two steps back from what video game movies are. It's basically the same thing that we complain about video game movies. And yes, as much as I complain about the Sonic movie because of the Jace Marsden stuff, at least I'll give it credit that the Sonic movie has some semblance of competent writing. But this one, no. This one is, again, this one brings the video games movie back to the Dark Ages. So here's the thing. Minecraft, it was always a kind of like this blocky world in which they have their own set of stuff. Steve, the woman, the creeper, Enderman, the things that I remember. And you just build your own world and all this stuff. It's kind of like this big sandbag with cubes and all this stuff. It garnered a generation of people who become very fixated on building blocks, and yeah, it promotes creativity. I've seen some creative stuff, at least some photos of what they can do with it. I mean, it's fine with that. So, of course, that it doesn't have it. That kind of shows that it doesn't have its own story. But in this case, just because they wanted because it's Warner Brothers, you know that Warner Brothers, when they try their live action stuff for children, they treat everyone like they're all freaking Looney Tunes. But unfortunately, you know that when you are a grown man and going through the phase of acting like Looney Tunes, then you don't look like a kind of like a likable clown. You more look like an embarrassing. It's kind of like embarrassing. It's the whole thing. Well, because the movie not only stars Jack Black but also stars Jason Momoa, and both of them acted like man-child. It's embarrassing. It's kind of like it's kind of or in a way not also creepy but also very sad. It's kind of like the saddest performance I have ever seen from two grown adults. And the way they dress, the way that they are into it, especially Jack Black, look, with the obese and how obese and beard they look like. So much of that in this movie, it doesn't help that he really should be like a guy that you should stay away from 5 meters from him. But I'm getting distracted myself as well. Okay, the movie basically is Jack Black playing the iconic character of Minecraft, which is Steve. He's basically kind of like this loser who somehow wanted to be a miner, but because the prospectors say get out, the kids shouldn't do that, and then he grows up being a loser because he kind of begins to build stuff with his mashed potatoes, and then he's like, hey, I wanted to be a miner so I can sneak in and we're going into adventures and all this stuff. Although, here's the thing. I don't think that you have to be an expert to be a miner, but you only need to learn kind of like the tools because it's a dangerous job, by the way. Being a miner, I mean, it's not something to exactly to be excited because it is a big responsibility. It's dangerous. But apparently apparently being a miner is wonderful. So Steve then gives us this elaborate backstory with his awful narration, where he says that, oh, I found this cube MacGuffin, in which is, well, he calls it an orb, but it's a cube, in which combined it by another thing, then he apparently opens the portal to a Minecraft world. He goes there, he finds that he can do everything that the game does, but then he finds the netherworld, which is basically a Warcraft world where orcs/pigs live, with kind of like a pig sorcerer who wants to go out and wants to use the cube to turn the kind of like the Minecraft world all night because, well, these pigs as well as some other monster, they can go at night. So then, of course, Jack Black gets captured. He sends his dog Dennis to the real world so they can hide the cube under his waterbed, apparently. And then somehow that cube ends in a storage where Jason Momoa, he was a champion on a retro video game store. Now he is a loser. He basically dressed up in pink, trying to act like a Randy Savage kind of guy, but he isn't. He's just a loser and wants to buy other kind of like video games. He failed to get an Atari, but he gets the cube. Well, some kind of knockoff Atari stuff. Of course, that he needs the money because he needs to be evicted, and of course, he also crossed paths with a brother and a sister who we got a sister who apparently she looks 16 years old and drives a car. I'm sorry, but this girl, she looks really young. I don't know how. Because apparently she wants her best for the kid, because the kid is creative, because he loves to draw. When you're creative, at least also you have to commit also with the rules, especially when the art teacher tells him to draw a life drawing and he doesn't commit to life drawing. I mean, and also teachers who also how can I say, encourage creativity during life drawing. I mean, even my teacher during life drawing, they encourage me to be creativity. But there's a time and a place when you want life drawing, you have to do life drawing. But apparently, this kid is creative enough to build a jetpack out of stuff, and that jetpack stuff, he's so creative that he makes a jetpack that is kind of functioning. But it builds up a statue on a potato chip factory where the sister works, and the kid gets scolded by this creepy vice principal who she basically just says exposition that she is divorcing her husband, and of course the kid meets Jason Momoa. They find the cube and they go there alongside then later with the sister. And of course, because they wanted to shoehorn in someone, this big woman who apparently she came out from one of the extras of the Medea Club, and because she's a real estate agent who she also has some love with animals, because she even has apparently a car which has a lot of animals in it. So they go into the Minecraft world. They bring the orb the orb/cube. For some reason, that cube looks like that same cube from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I forgot the name. And then, well, the movie goes into autopilot. They meet Steve, who is Jack Black in the whole Jack Black kind of thing, and he is kind constantly talking, constantly yelling, constantly annoying, and everybody is licking his shoes. This is the movie. This is what I'm talking about. That this movie kind of encapsulates being the perfect Jack Black movie in which this is all about him. It's not about Minecraft. It's him, and everything that you know from the rules of it's just there, and just say that be creative, and you can tell the movie tried so hard to put the creativity theme from the Lego movie. But here's the thing: the Lego movie was clever. It was well written, and it had moments to breathe and have their emotions sink. This movie doesn't. It's all on a rush. On a rush, it doesn't kind of like sink in. Sometimes we get kind of like moments in which it was pointless. It's just and the whole thing feels like it's just a commercial of the Minecraft video game. And when you want to make a movie that feels kind of like suitable, it's not. This is just fan service, just for the sake of fan service. But you're gonna please the people who just want to shut their brains off. But I don't. I can't. For some reason, it's because since I grew up, I had some standards, and that movie isn't. Especially with where can I go without trying to make it so long? The acting, awful. Everyone is acting. You ham it up. I kind of noticed where everything goes, kind of like in a big screen. Everyone kind of have this. They either overreact or they just act like, well, whatever. It's nothing much, nothing less. Jack Black again is the worst of the actors because he only do what he's very knowledgeable of what he is. He always screams. He always doesn't shut up. He just spouts out lots of things, and the way he acts, especially considering a man of his age, is disturbing. He acts like this kind of like a 50-year-old man who just wants to go into the Burger King kids club. And unfortunately, this charm is so contagious that it didn't affect Jason Momoa, Jason Momoa honestly could have been a little bit of a good character. Unfortunately, he probably was a reject from that awful Adam Sandler movie named Pixels. And it felt like that. In which, of course, he was kind of like a video game winner, that then now he's a loser, and now he's finding money. And the funny thing is that the movie deviates itself to wanting to make him saying that he wants a diamond because he just wants money, and sometimes he wants to show off for no reason. The arcs, the character development is all over the map, and apparently they say that he's the bad guy. The bad guy because he just wanted diamonds. And the guy even made a point in which the movie wanted to make kind of like saying that, hey, it's cool to have creativity, but sometimes you gotta have to face reality and all this stuff. But that they make an awful job on it because at least in the Lego movie, they managed to sink in even that theme in which, yeah, everyone can be chaotic and make it their creativity and all this stuff, but Emmett was the perfect guy to say that, hey, it's great that you have creativity, but me as a construction worker, we can do a lot of good things when we have to keep things in order. We have to, because we make buildings, but we make buildings when we have our creativity in order. And yeah, they also have maybe the conflict with the other with the villain, of course, but it kind of like this happy marriage that you can't. It's good that you have to be creative, but also when you can't be a little bit too much of a stickler of the rules, because there's a happy balance. But this one, they wanted to say that creativity is everything, but they don't see the kind of like the reality because when you think about it. Steve is a big loser. He's a giant loser. He's a guy who just couldn't grow up, he's a man-child, and he escapes to the Minecraft world, and he never gets kind of like a chance at saying that, look, you're in this place in which, yeah, you can create things, but they're dangerous things. I mean, yeah, he created lots of dangerous things. I mean, even the kid who built a jetpack, he made collateral damage. And apparently they treat it like it is a bad thing to be creative. No. The bad thing is not being creative. The bad thing is when you let your creativity go wild without supervision. There's something called recklessness. There's something called consequences. And also creativity also have a lot of room of failures. Failures. You can just, get something and just build it. There's something called trial and error. And you know what? When you make all these calculations, this is where you have to, own for your failed mistakes, or even calculate in order to reduce the risk of making bad decisions, bad failures. That's the process of creativity, as well as with the happy marriage of just face reality, because Steve didn't face reality. At least the Jason Momoa character, he has his priority because he wanted to, he wanted to get some diamonds in order to, so he don't get evicted. Unfortunately, that's the thing. Just like when people are obsessed with Minecraft, they have to deal with the electricity bills. Going back again with other characters, the kid, I will admit that the kid is probably the least awful of all the actors. At least the kid tries, but unfortunately, this character is kind of half this arc in which he's apparently bullied because his creativity. I don't know how. Then there's this young sister, who again, she looks like 16 years old, which apparently she basically, now that I think about it, the movie basically wanted to combine not only the Lego movie, but also the Playmobil movie, in which we have the sister who also had to take responsibility of their brother, but unfortunately the movie says that she's against his creativity, but it doesn't show that. She's actually trying to be attentive to him by making, tater totter pizza bacon kind of thing. And the big woman, she was mostly kind of like comic relief, I'll say, because, well, she later learned how to tame animal, but she was just there just to be a little bit of a comic relief. Then there are, of course, the pigs who are the villains. There's kind of like this pig with a robe who, she's basically, again, the Minecraft villain. How do a movie that apparently emphasizes on creativity brings me back to Warcraft? For some reason. It feels a lot of like Warcraft for some reason. Well, apparently they gave us this useless backstory in which apparently she wasn't an American Got Talent, and she was saying, "Hey, you shouldn't be creative," and all this stuff. And does this contribute to the movie? No, not at all. Not at all. And speaking of things that doesn't contribute, we get this odd subplot in which one of the villagers of the Minecraft world, in which all these people look like Squidward. One of those Squidward people enters the real world and meets that creepy vice principal, take her to dinner, and apparently she falls in love, and even though the guy and it's just for a post-credit scene that has no point and all this stuff. They're just like, look at the joke, but oh my god, this is what I mean when everyone acts kind of like a cartoon, and a cartoon, and it doesn't look kind of like a motion thing. It's all just whatever, and they just they show this, they show that, and look, they look like the Minecraft game, and I feel so satisfied. And honestly, at this point, I think that movie should take it. Well, it is fun, to let it all out, your creativity and all this stuff. And you also have to put yourself some limits. I know that imagination also has the sky is the sky is your limit. There you can't do everything, but unfortunately, when things go wild, there is no basis. This one has a very messy story, and a lot of things are embarrassing. Jokes what else I can say? Yeah, the jokes are embarrassing. I mean, to cope with the movie, I even made notes about it. I'm not gonna since this is a double feature. This is not gonna go very long, but because I honestly will think that if this wasn't a double feature, I could probably even talk an hour about how much this movie frustrated me. So, but basically, this is a movie that it was just embarrassing to watch. It's all these this. I know that there are some that they wanted to put some effort, because if there's at least some positive that I could say about this movie, is that the CGI looks creatively good. They look good. Despite some bad green screen effect, well, not effect, but I will say that when the humans act, or act cartoonish, you can tell that they're obviously acting on a green screen. They don't emote, with a lot of dynamic, because they don't want to screw up with the green screen. But everything surrounding around it, that's probably the only positive that I could give about this movie. But everything else it's just down the sewer, and I don't care how many chicken jockeys people cheer on. This was, again, like I always say, another Jack Black movie hijacking a video game property, and unfortunately there's still more to come. And speaking of more to come, I think I'm gonna take the night, and then we go for this year's second embarrassment. Okay. Part two of the double feature of what I consider the worst movies of the year that I haven't watched, and I didn't do it. I thought I survived Jack Black and Jason Momoa acting like children, embarrassingly. Now, I had to survive the Snow White, the Disney remake that everybody was fearing for the right reasons, me included, because Disney still is putting into deaf ears people saying that we don't want to, but you know what? People are still giving it money because, well, Disney still has a name, just like Minecraft and the Sonic movies. Because, okay, let's try to go with it and analyze my thoughts without acting immature. I try not to go, like the angry reviewer and all this stuff, but except when they kind of deserve it. But the more I thought about it, it kind of gets a little bit childish. But this is gonna be a little bit of a hard. And here I am now talking about the movie, and I'm not gonna lie. It took me days to gather the strength to watch this movie. it was hard, but I have to keep my pride that you have to watch garbage in order to pinpoint and have a base on argue why it doesn't work. Okay, a little bit of a kind of like backstory for both Snow White, the Disney Snow White, and of course some of the other stuff. We all know that Snow White, the animated movie from 1937, it was kind of like the biggest stepping stone of Disney, and actually also most of the how can I say, the animation industry. Many people will say that Snow White was the first feature-length movie, although some sources say that it's not. It's probably the most successful feature-length movie, kind of like the most complete of them all. But other sources say that there was others before Snow White. There is one lost media that's actually the key word. There's lost media that probably showcased that there was other feature length films that are animated that came before Snow White. One of the most, if you study animation history, one of the most notorious lost media is an Argentinian, I think it was Argentinian animated film named The Apostle. Unfortunately, again, it's lost, and and so for the time being, we could say that Snow White is the first animated feature length film in probably the world. Although that's not saying that I am discrediting that movie, because it was kind of like an experimental film that showcased its passion, where it can push the boundaries of artists and animation, the traditional version, on picking a story, making it feature length, attracting an audience, putting music, building up characters, and they wanted to go, okay, let's do this where it go, considering that Walt Disney and his crew, they were working on their shorts, and that they wanted to push it through. And guess what? It became one of the most important films in animation history, and I rewatched it actually last year, and well, as simplistic as it is, and it still holds up. I'll say it holds up. That you don't. It's just nice, sweet. You like the characters. You are mesmerized because some of the animation is so smooth that it can't be done up to this day, because we got kind of like more modern technology, and there's something really unique and special about it. And even you really like, again, some of the characters, I really kind of like the character Snow White. She doesn't need it to be kind of like the kind of like a like super brave or combating to save the world or something like that. Snow White, the character showcased to be a very sweet character, that you like her innocence, and that's what attracted the dwarves to the point that they befriended her, and she began to treat them like the mother that the dwarf didn't have. And they, especially with Grumpy, they made him a very three-dimensional character, and in this one. And of course, there were other movies there were other movies with other companies that I did watch following the Snow White thing. There's some did work, some doesn't. I did kind of watch kind of like parodies or something like that. For example, I watched a German Snow White movie, and it was kind of hilarious. You know what? Come to think of it, the original Snow White tale was German. And by the way, it has some dark stuff. Just like any grim storybook. Disney kind of managed to make it a little bit more family friendly, but when you go a little bit deeper in a lot of those, a lot of those grim fairy tales, it's gonna be ugh. Okay, I gotta go fast because I keep forgetting that that this is a double feature. I'll try to make it quick. Oh yeah, and also there's the Mexican Chapulín Colorado, which parodies the Snow White tale. So that's a thing that I have to say about the animated movie. But then to prepare for this remake, I almost wanted to watch it while I was on my trip to Ecuador, on the plane, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't watch the movie on the plane because I wanted to have a good time during my vacations. And even my return trip, I was like, no, life is too precious. I'm gonna watch that movie more when I have time to kill. But I did prepare myself to watch it by watching another movie that has that actress, and that is Y2K. A movie that came out last year, almost like a rite of passage to see if you can tolerate Rachel Zegler. Because Rachel Zegler wasn't doing any favors even to this movie. You just see kind of like the whole thing that how she has this very snarky, narcissistic attitude that it really turned off a lot of people. She was really kind of like even to this day she's kind of trying to become the most unlikable actress in the world. And I had my beef with what was this untalented actress? I forgot. It's the girl from Transformers. The girl from Transformers. She is kind of like the worst actress I have ever seen. And Rachel Zegler, after watching Y2K, it looks like she's gonna top that. So that movie, Y2K, was awful, by the way, and Rachel Zegler really proved that she can't act. She was really awful. She had very wooden performances, and then she had almost no emotion on her face. Almost her face, I kind of felt like it was kind of like punchable, just like some other actors that, so there's something about her that it doesn't sit well on her. She kind of lacks charisma. That's unfortunate for her. And yeah, she doesn't have talent. She doesn't know how to emote all of it. That was my test screening with Y2K. And now that I'm here with Snow White, I finally took the courage and watched it. I heard the movie flop, and lo and behold, I knew that the movie is gonna suck, just like every other Disney remake. Although this one gets kind of like a more special mention because the goals that this movie had gone through, and audiences and people who actually are more passionate about the movie, they were like, "Don't do it, don't do it." But Disney's like, "We'll do it whether you like it or not," and it did. It went to reshoots. It went to a lot of promotions. All of them sucking. And now that I watch it, I can see why. Because that movie was so soulless. And now, even now, I'm debating which one was worse. I'm debating if it was this or Lilo and Stitch. Because Lilo and Stitch was insulting in the terms that it was my favorite movie. It was my favorite movie, and they just missed the point of the message, and they gave us kind of like these performances. And you can tell that even the Lilo and Stitch, it sucked all the magic of the original series, because they just want to have actors acting stiff, acting wooden, acting like like children, because they just say, hey, we can be like funny. Da, 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 da. In the case of Snow White, the soullessness is mostly because it has almost the same problem that I had with Aladdin, in which they wanted to modernize it a little bit too much, and they added so many things that they wanted to feel kind of like empowered for especially the modern audience, that even without that, even taking this thing aside, the movie feels clunky. It kind of felt unearned with a lot of things that with the segment of the movie, and they add a lot of unnecessary plot points that it just feels like how can I say, it doesn't fit. Not only they wanted to shoehorn in kind of the tale of Snow White, but apparently they also wanted to add elements from what was it, Tangled, Robin Hood. What else did they wanted to add at the Aladdin remake, which is a big mistake. A lot of things. Maleficent also, a little bit of Maleficent, and it doesn't help. Trying to make it a little bit shorter of what I'm going to say. Even the acting was abysmal, even for Disney style. Rachel Zegler can't act, can't act. She's always kind of like stiff, and her acting and the character that she makes her, she's always kind of trying to talk like pretty word, or acting like, please do this like that. And she has kind of like the same emotion in her face. It's almost like she has only 2 or 3 emotions, and she's kind of like holding back that what she a lot of the thing. And this is what I criticize a lot of the acting on many Disney live action movies, is that they always hold back. They hold back their emotions, their body. Sometimes it goes stiff, and I notice, including in this movie, or sometimes they kind of look like having this pretty face that it feels disingenuous. Even in the classic cheesy live action movies that I have seen, in which I'm not exactly kind of like the biggest fan of, I can still see that they kind of try some kind of charm into it, because they have kind of like the right moment and the right atmosphere and the right setup on how to act. So everybody is a terrible actor. But although maybe, if I could say who acted at least the least awful, is Gal Gadot as the evil queen. But I cannot, but not by far, because there are moments in which you can see that she still holds back. Although you can tell that Gal Gadot has a lot of experience in acting. I mean, she's Wonder Woman. She wasn't the best. She's not the best actress in my book, but I can tell a good actress like Gal Gadot when she actually gives it all. Gives it all. So honestly, but it's not enough, I'll say. And yeah, we got, of course, the prince, who, well, in this case, is not a prince. He's just he starts out as a thief. They gave him a name. His name is Jonathan. I think that was the name of the other prince on the Snow White tale, but who cares? He's not a prince. He's just a thief. And the mannerism that he goes, like, for example, he starts out, the first time he appears, he's stealing potatoes, even though in medieval times, potatoes wasn't common there. Okay, this is what I'm gonna remember. But the way he acts, the way his character arc and all this stuff, he's basically Flynn from Tangled. And they mix him up with Robin Hood, and I'll get to that, by the way. I'll get to that because there's something that I have to talk about those. And yes, it kind of follows the tale of Snow White, but they also added, they added some aspect of the remake of Mulan, in which here's also one of the worst things that this movie did, is that they wanted to showcase that Snow White is perfect in everything. Not only she's pretty, she talks about fairness, she has a strong sense of justice, even though she's her only moment is that she just speaks out and saying that you can't do that. And you know what? Here's the biggest pet peeve that I have with this movie, is that they abuse the word fair immedientely. And you know what? Because the movie knows that when you say who's the fairest of the land, because fair is a synonym, an old synonym of you're the most beautiful of them all. The movie apparently they don't want it to do that, and it's like, and they just wanted to talk about fair, about justice. And who's the fairest of the land? Oh, because she's fair. Because the first line that they use that line is when Snow White wants to defend Jonathan the thief, and she's like, you can't do that. It's not fair. Bing. It's not fair. And you could make a drinking game of every single time that this movie wanted to use the word fair. And they ambiguously or subtly wants to use the word fair in both ways. The word that is not fair, or the word that I'm the fairest of them all. And by the way, also this movie tries to hammer you in a lot of Apple symbolism. Not only they go with the whole fairness, they also go with the Apple symbolism, and they hammer it too much into your head, and a lot of things go stretching on. And you know what? I could make a whole essay about it. I mean, just like the Minecraft movie, I even took notes to try to cope. And also they made the big mistake of, that they wanted to prove that Snow White is everything because they gave her a pendant that says fearless, fair, brave, and true. This is where the Mulan thing happened, in which they showcase that this is a character that is so perfect that nobody can say no to her, and that makes Snow White less interesting. They make her more like a warrior instead of kind of like something like a motherly character, because at least the innocence, because here's the thing, that makes the Snow White a little bit more, how can I say it, insufferable, and especially in this day and age, because and they kind of treat her like she's kind of like this golden child. And honestly, a golden child is not exactly the best kind of character you could use, especially for a movie. Sometimes it doesn't even work like that. For example, I kind of begin to. For example, here's an example where golden boys or golden girls can go right or kind of go wrong, depending on what your stance is. There is this golden boy story in anime. It's called Captain Tsubasa, in which the character is a prodigy. Although some of the soccer battles, it is a soccer anime. It is engaging to watch and all this stuff, but at least the character has some challenges that makes the people surrounding him and some of the other stuff that happened. That made the anime popular, but the character itself, the golden boy, is not that interesting. So he's not that popular. So the same could be said with Snow White in this one, where she's kind of like this golden girl that everything she says is right, but she kind of does it in a tone that everything goes too easy, and not kind of like a moment in which she has to hesitate. Oh yeah, did I forget that she's kind of looking for her father because, well, the father went to a war in which the queen just said that, oh, there's an invasion, something like that, but there's something odd about it. Yeah, they shoehorn in that. Okay, it's time for me to go with the elephant on the room. And that is the dwarf. Oh, jeez, the dwarves. Okay. I'm not exactly kind of like the biggest fan of CGI when they wanted to make it too realistically. This one, the problem that I have with the CGI is that why do people always say that the CGI really looked like it was made by AI? Well, the answer is simple because most of the AI CGI art that it happens, it has kind of like this bright tone and this ultra realistic skin tone, and the way also that they move is a little bit too smooth that it kind of reaches the uncanny valley. It doesn't help, of course, with the designs. That the funny thing is that a lot of people make fun of Rachel Zegler hairstyle in that movie because she has that chin. She kind of makes her look like Lord Farquaad from Shrek. Well, I will say also that the dwarves actually look like they came out from the Shrek universe. Especially Dopey, who apparently he looked like Alfred J. Newman from the Mad Magazine. Boy, let me tell you that these dwarves, they may not have been important. You could take out the dwarves, and they will signify almost nothing. They just kind of just shoehorn in, and most of the importance that they have to the movie is really diminished. Except that they wanted to make Dopey that to the point that we have to feel bad for him because he is, well, Dopey. Although at least you could tell that Dopey, despite that, he wasn't made fun of. He was treated almost like a family. Sometimes made fun of, yeah, but at least Dopey kind of took it with stride, and he just very optimistic. But in this one, they kind of make him kind of like, oh, well, who is made. It made me sad because I'm mute and all this stuff, because they wanted to treat him like as one of those disabled people, and well, they wanted to treat him like he's the unbreakable kid. I'm gonna ruin you this because I don't care. Remember many years ago, in which there was this Pokemon movie. All those Pokemon can't talk, and they always say, their names, and especially a Pikachu going with their Pika Pika Pika. But then one movie, it made everyone go whoa, and all hell broke loose because Pikachu stopped talk. Pikachu started talking coherently, and everyone was like, "What?" Well, in the Snow White movie, almost at the end of the movie, Dopey talk. Dopey talks. I can see all the people looking at me with skepticism, but I swear to God, he talks, and apparently he has this Elijah Wood kind of way of talking. Oh, I forgot to mention that apparently the dwarf have magic in which they apparently have the Midas touch, and that can turn rocks into gems and diamonds. Not important. And here's the funny thing also about the dwarves. There was kind of like this the movie all had this early controversy because the dwarves were supposed to be played by humans with little people to make it to not soften the blow on this thing. But unfortunately, Peter Dinklage said that this is insulting to people with dwarfism and all this stuff. So they were like, okay, let's replace them with CGI dwarves and all this stuff, and a big can of worms kind of opened. Well, apparently they kept some of those people. These supposed seven dwarves that were originally supposed to be the dwarves, now they are apparently the merry men of Flint from Tangle. No, it's the prince. The prince. No, it's the thief. Whatever, Jonathan. Whatever. Yeah. So they pull a Robin Hood on, and they have these people, and one of them is a little man who, at first glance, I swear that he was smaller than the CGI dwarves, but thankfully no. He was a head taller than them. And but I think my favorite was the guy with the afro. I don't know. There was something mesmerizing of the guy with the afro and the beard. He kind of a little bit looked like Ichiban from the Yakuza series. But yeah, they shoehorned in that, and of course, a lot of this movie wanted to feel a little bit. They wanted to make kind of like revolutionary, in which it kind of turns into like Miserables in some way or another, in which the kingdom has been ruled by the queen and all that. But man, that a lot of things kind of doesn't even make sense in a way that it goes and feels kind of like anticlimactic. Even when you reach kind of like the end, in which it's supposed to, with the climax with the apple, it decides to stretch, in which Snow White just go there to talk to the queen, and she barely does anything. And the movie pretty much wanted to shoehorn in that Snow White is destined to lead, and she shows no leadership. She didn't show any battle strategies, no experience on being on how to be a diplomat, a queen. She was just there, she just talked to the dwarves and make peace between the 7 dwarves and the 7 thieves. This is just a shoehorn in and very preachy that it gets annoying, and it kind of really missed the point of the original tale. And yes, and by the way, it does end with apparently they watched that Snow White sequel made by Lou Scheimer, and you know what? I'll reveal it. In the movie, after apparently stupid moment in which they can kill off Snow White, but they don't because it's a family film. Snow White said that, "Hey, guard, I remember your name. You were a farmer and all this stuff." And the farmer's like, "I can't do it." Okay, you don't. The queen even gave her the kind of like the dagger to kill off Snow White, but to say, "Hey, Snow White, kill me." No, I won't, because I'm not a murderer or something like that. And of course, the queen runs. She finds the magic mirror. She breaks it, and because the magic mirror apparently is linked to her, she also breaks. That is something that was taken from the Lou Scheimer Snow White. Well, here's the thing. If you know, Lou Scheimer was the guy who made Filmation, and it was responsible for making He-Man and other of those series. But he also made kind of like a pseudo sequel to one of them of Pinocchio, in which it borrows elements from the Disney version, kind of acting like sequels, but they're not exactly like that. It kind of makes you think that, hey, you saw the Disney movie, then here is the Pinocchio movie. It's called Pinocchio and the Emperor of the Night. It made the same, I think twice. One of them was with Snow White, in which it's kind of like a pseudo sequel of the Snow White, but this time they celebrate Christmas, and of course, it's not about Snow White. It's Snow White's daughter, also named Snow White, and instead of the 7 dwarfs, they find the 7 friendly giants. Okay, but the point is that the movie ended. That movie ended the same way, almost like that Disney Snow White remake did, in which in the Lusheimer movie, the queen goes to the magic mirror after she's kind of like on her lap, and the magic mirror is like, I am you, and then he falls down, breaks, and the queen breaks. Almost the same on this one, and then of course, and with hunky dory, everyone dressed in white and all this stuff. And I could have said a lot more about this movie of how bad it was, and more than not just bad, it's just sad that it just took a spit on the classic and missed the point of what the original Snow White tale it is. Maybe even the kind of from the original tale, they just wanted to make it kind of like modernized. I mean, it wouldn't have been bad if it could. I'm not saying that it could not have been done. Maybe if they could have left out anything from the original Disney movie, they will just go, let's say, let's make a new Snow White. Let's not take these elements from the original. Let's make a new Snow White, a different Snow White, a different approach. Not use the songs, not use the props, not use any of the stuff that I have. Because again, it has been done. That Mexican movie with El Chapulín Colorado is a better homage to the Snow White movie than this one. This one is just another example of why these remakes doesn't work and why they kind of miss the point. So at the end of the day, Snow White was just a desperate attempt to showcase the how to modernize a movie for a modern era, but unfortunately, they sacrificed their magic because they thought that the message was more important than making the magic. And if they wanted to make a message, they fail on that. And boy, that it was hard for me, to get into these two. These two really are going to be on my top 10 worst movies of the year. I have to measure which one was worst. But in the meantime, there is one place that these two deserve, and that is here.